Welcome to Clay's Cortex.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 6 of Clay's Cortex. And I'm super excited because we got a guest here today. We got Arthur, but we're going to be talking about, and I'll have you say it how you want to define it too, but we're going to be talking about personal training or how there's a cookie cutter approach, or how would you say that?
How is there a cookie cutter approach?
No, like topic wise, right? So like you did a really cool post on Facebook essentially talking about how like people come ask you questions, and we'll get into this deeper in the podcast, but people come ask you for a program and you're like, wait a second, right? It's not really personal training anymore, right? Like how would you describe like a topic, I guess? Like I just thought cookie cutter approach, but.
Yeah, no, I think that would be, people are kind of just often looking for kind of just a template to follow versus like actually kind of maybe exploring deeper options.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Oh, like a cook or a chef.
Yeah, totally like that. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're just looking for the list of ingredients versus like actually what ingredients they might actually need for their own recipe.
Yeah, dude, love it. Cool. So that's what we're talking about essentially is like when it comes to personal training, it not being a cookie cutter approach or not being just a cook, right? You're a chef, you're tasting the seasoning and so forth, just like with exercise. Well, how do they want to do a bicep curl and so forth? We're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, I want to talk about this guy here. If you're watching to my right, which might be your guys' left on the camera, but yeah, this is Arthur Hall, and he just moved here from Kansas. And I met Arthur many moons ago at a course in Denver where we went for 8 weekends to learn this stuff. We roomed together, and also Jazz was there. If Jazz listens to this, he's coming to this other class we're in now. But yeah, man, so I guess you're a smart dude, right? You've been on this fitness journey for a while. Tell them about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so again, just moved here from Kansas, and kind of like, I guess I'll just kind of share as far as exercise,
Cool.
how I got into it. Like, basically, you know, I was kind of a young, chubby, little athletic kind of kid back in the day. And, you know, kind of went through a little dark period in my life, and fitness was kind of like, you know, that was really when I decided to like launch off from there, use fitness as kind of a way to maybe escape or move into a stronger version of myself through that way.
Love that.
So for, you know, a lot of the time exercise was kind of this like, hey, here's the workout. You know, I was kind of following it like what we're going to be talking about is kind of just this, hey, you know, squat this, we're doing 8 reps today, that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of how I knew exercise. And then I had this cool transformation, and I decided, you know, that was fun, I want to do that for other people. And then I was kind of at this point where I was starting to kind of self-study for personal training, and I just realized like sitting down reading a book by myself wasn't really like giving me anything, and oftentimes I would just like fall asleep reading the book. So I was kind of just like looking for something, and that's when I kind of found, you know, the whole class we attended and all that stuff with the muscle work. And but yeah, so that was kind of actually new to me. I didn't really totally know what I was dabbling into. Like my aunt and uncle both had some shoulder stuff, and we're like, if you for sure want to do personal training and help people, like do this, like this will be perfect. And so just the structure of the class and all that was awesome, as far as getting to travel a little bit, and it wasn't like, you know, full time. It was kind of part time.
Right.
So yeah, so then that completely opened my eyes, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah, dude, love it, man. Yeah, if I could talk about this too, I thought it was really cool. When I first met Arthur, he was 19, right? You were 19.
Yeah.
And I'd been training for a while, but I was mind blown that somebody at the age of 19 was like, this is what I want to do or how I want to go about it. But I feel like for me personally, even that class, because we had Matt as the teacher, opened our eyes to so many other ways of how to train, right? Like,
totally.
Which was mind blowing. But like, I thought that was really cool that I met you at 19. You're like, this is what I want to do. You're ready to roll. I was like, dude, let's go, dude.
Yeah,
let's do it. So that was fun. That was a fun class. So yeah, dude, going back to your post on you did on Facebook, right?
Yeah,
so it was really
Facebook.
cool. You talked about essentially your thoughts on that's how you viewed exercise, of like reps and sets and so forth. And you know, people come to you, ask for a program because they're pumped, they want to get going. You know, you talked about, and how I heard it was, you're not going to approach people with a cookie cutter approach. How would you describe that, or, you know, if you go deeper into detail on that?
Yeah. So I think, like, just my own experience, just I'm going to base it off of that, is really just, again, like, you know, I had this idea that, you know, exercise, in order to, you know, be getting better in the gym, you had to be putting more weight on the bar each time you went in. You know, you had to, if the rep scheme was 10 reps, you had to get to 10 reps. If you didn't, it's like you sort of failed in a sense, right? And there's just kind of that whole athletic kind of performance mindset behind all of it, which I don't, again, in my video I said I love that stuff. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it has its place, but I think the biggest thing is, like, you know, it's even examples like I had some back issues, and it would be to the point where I'd be like, you know, going through my workouts still, and because I kind of had that whole athletic performance mindset behind it, it was like, all right, well, my back's hurting on rep number 6, but I'm told I got to do 10s. Right. So when I talked to my coach at the time about that, it's like, all right, well, you know, let's maybe put a belt on so that kind of maybe masks the pain. Gotcha. But it was never like, let's actually address the issue and then maybe move on back into that. So I think just from learning through my own experiences that, you know, that constant repetitive performance like exercise sometimes just breaks you down, and, like, you know, and people expect that, you know, that type of exercise is what exercise is, and it's just more individualized.
Right. It can be, right? I think that's what's interesting. It can be more individualized, right? So that's what's kind of funny, right? So, like, I don't remember when this started. I think I might have talked about this a while back, but back in the day when I was a kid, right, we go to a restaurant, what was on the menu, you'd order it. And that's what you got. No ifs, ands, and buts about it, right? Totally. Well, nowadays, what's going on? Well, can you take that off? Can you put this on instead? Can you, you know, people want individualized type things, and I just don't know why that hasn't happened within the fitness industry. And the tough thing is like, if I go back to the Matrix, right, and like take the red pill, the blue pill, well, we've taken the pill that's opened our eyes when it comes to exercise. Totally. And I think the interesting thing is that there's only a small percentage of people, I believe, that I've met that really look at exercise that way. It's turned into more of a cookie cutter approach, like you were saying, where I'm not going to say the gym around here, but there's another gym I lift at sometimes for a change of scenery. And say I get there on the half hour, and that person is training somebody, that personal trainer, or, well, I don't want to say exercise professional, but say they're training that person, and then I roll over to the next hour, they start with a new person per se, and it's like literally the exact same workout. I'm like, man, personal training is not personal anymore, right? It's like, dude, why don't we ask people what do they want, what they want to do, right? Like, I just think that's interesting because it is a cookie cutter approach. Totally. And it's tough. It's easier to do things that way, right? You don't have to think as much. Totally. Right? You're choreographing exercise. You say, do a squat, do it like this. And in their mind, they're authoring that movement, and that's how they view it. But they haven't assessed anything else or looked at anything else, right? Is that something that you've kind of seen also, or that you're like, hey, I don't want to do things that way anymore?
Totally. You know? Like, and that's actually because I was actually listening to some Tom Purvis audio note the other day.
Love it.
And, like, yeah, he just kind of, you know, he was just kind of talking about that whole, basically what you just said is, like, you know, a lot of people's way of customizing exercise is, oh, we're just going to modify this row. You know, it's a lot of modification type stuff, but we're still going off of that same platform, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, so I do see, I feel like that still is a lot of, like, trainers' approaches is like, you know, yes, I'm going to give you personal training, but really personal training is just like, hey, yeah, I have exercise 1 through 5 here. Oh, your shoulder hurts a little bit when we do it this way. You know, and it's not to say they don't think about, you know, how can we make this better, but the way they think about it might just not be, like you said, a full open lens to the new view.
I love it. Yeah, new view, right? Yeah, I like what you said. You just said something about it's not that they're not thinking about it, right? Yeah. I do think that our job, or career, however people want to look at it, I don't feel like it's a job, or passion, right? It's a passion. We love to do that. We love to help people. I think the issue is that when you're passionate about something, you'll do it for free, right? Like on one side of the spectrum, for sure, right?
Totally.
On the other side of the spectrum, people will look at it from a dollar standpoint, which is not bad. It's not wrong. And I think the biggest thing with that, what I'm seeing is that it does take a lot of work to think and work with somebody and what they exactly need. And sometimes that can be mentally draining, right?
Totally.
It can be mentally draining to investigate somebody's body, right? It's not the job we have. I think people, that's what they say. Can you write me a program?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, wait a second. Wait a second. There's a lot more to this than even you even understand, right?
Right.
You know, like I guess people like a lot of people want to get married, right? Some people want to get married and stuff like that. But there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of work, and there's a lot of refining that happens within yourself. And the hard part, I believe, when it comes to being an exercise professional, a trainer, a strength coach, whatever you call yourself as a title, is that you have to recognize that there are things that you may be doing with somebody that's getting in the way of them actually achieving their goal because of our bias, right? And it's hard, you know? So I think it's not that they don't want to think, it's just that it is a lot of thinking. And there's few people that want to do that, but I believe the fitness industry is going down a direction of people want problem solvers. There's more information on the internet about how to solve your muscle problem and so forth, and when those people do that, it doesn't work. Why is that? Because that's a cookie cutter approach, right? It's crazy. And then somebody comes in and they're like, oh my gosh, that was like one session, I feel so much better, whatever it is, right? It's pretty amazing, right? So
totally.
Yeah, dude. So how has your thought process changed since you've gone on this journey of exercise and so forth?
I'd say overall is just be way more intentional with what you're doing when you go to the gym. Like, you know, and I think the other biggest thing is learning how to like appropriately prep your system like for exercise. Like I think that's probably one of the biggest things is that I've probably kind of learned and kind of evolved into is like really trying to, you know, make sure that somebody's muscular system is, you know, because exercise is stress, and so we want to make sure that whatever stress that we're putting into somebody's body, that we're able to make sure they can tolerate all that and all that stuff. So yeah, so I'd say that's the biggest thing I've probably learned is just like be intentional, think about what you're doing, and just have a reason for why you're choosing what to do.
Love it. So when you say prepping your system, I just want to dumb that down. You mean like a warm-up?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. So like for me personally, I kind of like to train more bodybuilding kind of maybe specific. So for me, like what that might look like is, you know, looking at the movements that I'm probably going to be doing that day. And again, you know, you and I know this, but for the listeners, you know, the muscles kind of have this contraction, you know, they contract and that's their idea. That's all they do. That's not their idea. That's all they do.
I love it.
But yeah, so they contract. So in my mind, it's like, all right, what muscles am I going to be kind of doing in this bodybuilding specific type workout? And kind of what are the parts of all those motions? And how can I get all those individual parts kind of prepped and stimulated for the exercise I'm about to do.
Love it, to potentially work together.
Yeah, to kind of get everything kind of recruited and hopefully, yeah, all kind of synchronized and doing their job. Yeah.
Totally, man. So, so what you're saying is that a warm-up shouldn't also be a cookie cutter approach.
Yes, probably.
So from the beginning to the end of a workout or exercise program, it should not be cookie cutter approach.
Should not be. Yeah.
And I'm on the same page with you. And I think what's interesting is like, because here at the kiln or the gym, like when the athletes come in, they have the kiln athlete preparation, progressive preparation warm up, right? Mm-hmm. And so people are like, well, you do a cookie cutter approach. I'm like, I feel you there. But if you look at their workout sheets, that every workout is catered to them, how they set the exercise up and everything. The warm up itself is the top part. But below that, there's two other specific motions to prep their body and what they need to work on for that day, right? So I think you can almost get in a rhythm of warming up, but then when you get closer to what you're about to do, you got to be specific, you know? Totally. So like general, and then it's now get specific, right? So I think that that's another thing that's crucial is you can build that system into play, but you've got to then be specific with that individual, right? So I think it's really cool what you said, because from beginning until the end of whatever you do, you're going to be intentional with what you're doing to your body to prep it or warm it up for what you're going to do, which is not a cookie cutter approach.
Not a cookie cutter approach.
It's tough, man. It's tough because it's easier to go cookie cutter. Right?
It is.
That's why they make cookie cutters.
Yeah.
What am I doing? You take a knife? I'm gonna take a knife and cut out a dog?
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Cookie cutter. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
It's easier. It's more efficient.
Totally.
Same thing with running people through systems, or hey, at 4 o'clock today, everybody's been doing the same workout because it's easier to manage that.
Totally.
Right? That's not a bad thing. Group classes aren't bad. I'm not saying it's bad. But if your body's ready to go, which I would say most people over 30 to 35 have certain aches and pains, even younger depending on sports you played. So those aches and pains may be magnified while doing a general group fitness class. Not to say it's a bad thing, because community is important, right? The environment that you're in. If you feel like people are all going through the same stress as you, studies have been shown to essentially, that helps bring the group together, helps keep you pushing. Not a bad thing, but there's a lot of people out there that are hurting, and they've tried those avenues because they've been told what? You need to go exercise. So what do? They go to Orange Theory.
Yep.
They go to, F45. They go to CrossFit. Not to say that any of those things are bad, but it's not sometimes catered to them, right?
Right.
There's no true assessment that's happened to actually be a chef versus a cook when it comes to exercise.
100%.
That's pretty cool though. So the biggest shift that you've seen, if I can recap that, is prepping your system, being individualized with what I need to work on, what are the most I need to do. And to me, when you say that, you're being really intentional with that. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%, yeah. I'm being as intentional as I can be with the knowledge that I have, I think, yeah, each time.
Well, I mean, you're a smart dude, so there's a plethora of knowledge in there.
I think we're all smart in here.
Yeah, dude, well, you bet. Dude, think about it. Think about it. You've been doing some type of thing in the exercise industry since you were 19.
Totally, yeah.
How old are you?
24 now.
Cool, man. It's 5 years. I mean, right? The fitness industry is cutthroat, man.
Totally. Yeah, no.
People want that cookie cutter. They want that pill, right? They want that pill. Like, if I could lose weight, people could lose weight by taking a pill, they're going to do it.
Totally.
You know? I'm not going to say a certain brand. I don't know if they got in trouble a while back, blah, blah. But there's stuff out there that people take, right?
Right.
Not say that's a bad thing, but it's like, if you put in the work to where, like, what if somebody's body doesn't respond well to that pill to lose weight? And they have to actually go about it this way. Or maybe somebody's body needs cardio more. Right. Or it needs exercise. But if somebody's in pain, and we just put them through a workout that's not individualized, it could compound that pain issue. Other areas could pop up, and then they're no longer on that journey of their goal, right?
Totally.
And that's what's tough, is because, like, yeah, we need to get moving. Go for a walk, do that stuff. But when you go to load somebody's system, correct me if I'm wrong, when you go to load somebody's system with a machine, weights, whatever it is, bands, things got to be spot on for them and what their system can handle, right? So
that's why I just think that, like, because a lot of the clients I have worked with are and will continue to work with are the people who already love to do exercise, and they're already they're ingrained to that kind of group exercise type approach. And I think, like you're just saying, is like it's not that any of those things are bad. It's just like getting through to those people that, like, even if you spend some time individualizing your stuff, you're gonna be better in the long run for that. Like, if you want to do the group exercise, that's totally cool. Like, do it. But, like, I also want you to know that if you want to continue doing it, that there needs to be some individualized work on the in between, so that you can keep doing it, so that you don't ever have that experience of, oh, my knee's hurting during this group exercise class, and now I have to take a whole month off and now you're, depressed and or whatever.
A lot of that stuff, man. Right. It happens fast, right? There's a study that came out that when people stop working out for like 3 to 4 weeks, I think it was 2 to 3 weeks, cholesterol levels go up, blood sugar levels change, all this different stuff changed. But then when they got back into the exercise routine, it started to balance out and get better, like, somewhat immediately. Yeah. Which is unbelievable. So if we can have people, one, not be in pain, because I would say that people in pain is the #1 reason, or an injury, to why people don't exercise on a consistent basis. Or people don't like the feeling of being debilitatingly sore. You don't have to get debilitatingly sore to get stronger, have your body be more efficient, right? Right. You might not have, like you said earlier, prepped the system very well, right? Like for example, right, if people want to do group training or do more small group stuff, dude, do it. Mm-hmm. Move. Keep your physiological system, your system healthy, right? But, like, for example, that's racing the car, driving your car, right? Like, for example, this week or last week, again, I don't drive a lot. I literally drive to work and go home, and I live really close to the gym. So I was like, whatever, our oil change is overdue a little bit. Jackie was like, my wife was like, come on, we got to get these cars in, right? So brought it in, right? Car was running fine, but they were like, hey man, your tires are worn down pretty good. You might need to get tires here soon in the fall. Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. I mean, I could have put a penny in there, but my car was running fine. It was doing its thing.
Right.
They're like, hey, you gotta check these tires out a little bit here, buddy, right? And that was that professional's opinion and expertise into, hey, keep an eye on this, you gotta lock this in. Why don't we do that with our bodies? If we had somebody that could help be the person that was like the mechanic for our body, that investigates our body, right? This isn't working very well. We got to keep an eye on this. This is a new thing. What's happened? Well, I've been doing a lot of, stepping upstairs lately, and I don't normally. Okay, well, your body reacted this way. We got to keep an eye on this, right? And so going to somebody so you can keep doing your activities for life, checking in with somebody as if we were a muscle mechanic could really help somebody.
Totally.
Yep. Have you ever had people use you like that? Hey, I'm using you as a check-in.
Totally.
How am I doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think I try to get that across to people. I think that's, going back to your earlier question, is what have I learned the most is like, if you want to stay healthy for your life, you got to maintain your body. And I think doing it through optimizing your muscular system is a great way to do that.
Totally, man. I mean, we use our muscles to move.
Yeah, every day.
Every day.
Using them right now as I wave to you here.
Yeah, exactly. Hello. Right? As we talk, we got muscles in our jaws. We got all this stuff, right?
Right.
And our eyes, everything.
Yeah.
That's cool, though, dude. That's cool. Has your journey changed your training approach? Right? Like you talked a little about before when you first started, when it came to the aspect of you're training from a sports performance side to some aspect, and you're like, I got to hit these reps, I got to hit these external numbers, and I'm going to say arbitrary, but they're not necessarily, but they're arbitrary numbers. And you're like, well, if I don't get 10, it almost seemed like you were saying that's okay, right? So what's been your training approach other than your specific warm-up that's changed? Like what's shifted?
Yeah. I mean, I think control has been a big, like when we go to RTS or whatever, I think just one of the biggest things that is kind of ingrained, and I think sometimes I get too stuck into this thought process sometimes, actually, is that you need to be kind of, just intention again with what you're doing. So when you're in a machine, it's like, I'm not just, throwing inertia and momentum into that. It's like, all right, I'm actually trying to feel what muscles I'm using. Luckily I have the knowledge of what muscles I'm using during that. So really trying to, or thinking about, internal cues of how can I actually kind of give my brain an actual thing to focus on during that lift, so that I'm actually, getting that full squeeze of the muscle. And things like that. So I would say that's definitely one thing that's changed, is I'm just much more controlled in all of my exercise. I think I probably have more of a bias towards machines now. Okay. Just because, again, I like the idea of putting myself in a very stable environment. Because we've been taught that, the more stability that you kind of the more stable environment you put yourself in, the more output your muscles are probably going to be able to produce.
There's less juggle.
Less juggle. Totally. So I think that would be probably how it's changed the most, is just being very controlled with all of my motions and being very kind of intentional with what I'm feeling and what cues I'm giving myself.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
That's like control. I mean, would you say a lot of people, when it comes to exercise, just people that not sports, like I want to go exercise, would you say that they have a lot of control when doing motions, or is it kind of like not a lot of control? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say it's probably more so the latter, like not a lot of control, or it might not necessarily be that they don't have control, it's that they might not know how to use you know what I'm saying, like how to actually get into that position.
Yeah, right. So you mean to start the exercise?
Yeah.
The setup.
Yeah, excuse me.
The setup's crucial. Everybody's setups can be different to some aspect. There's some rules we can follow, but how essentially we communicate those rules. Yeah, I like that, right? And then also it might also be like you said this earlier, but intention, right? Your mindset in on the task you're about to do, whether an exercise is crucial, right? For example, us doing this podcast, right? I was excited. Arthur's my first guest, super pumped.
Woo-woo.
Right? I got to work on the interviewing process, but I just want to keep this conversation. But I realized that if I have something to follow a little bit, we can get outside that template a little bit.
Totally.
I had to be intentional with how I wanted to structure this talk, right? Same thing when you're prepping a program for somebody. Same thing when you are doing any other activity. If your intent or mind isn't in the right place, you're probably gonna either waste time or not get the outcome you want, right? So the thing is with exercise, if we can be more intentional with how we move or learn how to be more intentional, that could be a sign that exercise is beneficial for us, right? I think, and Tom said this, so Tom Purvis, RTS, Arthur's talked about a little bit, he said this in class, he said, how are you gonna get ahead in life working at McDonald's for minimum wage? And he goes, that's how a lot of people treat exercise, because they're focusing on just moving, when really there's more to it. The benefits of exercise and hormone release and everything with mental health and all this stuff's coming out now with exercise and how powerful it is. If we can leverage that and be more intentional, we can probably get some better feeling people, better moving people, right? Health things could probably change.
Totally.
I just think that the fitness industry has gone at this approach, and we're a part of that, which is tough. We got to be the change. Is they've been a part of it's cookie cutter approach. Cookie cutter approach. Just do squats, do lunges, put them on a ball to balance, because the first phase of anything is balance. You need a balance, and they're going to balance on something that's moving. And really, when we balance, we move. We learn how to control back and forth. Right. So we do balance. Then we do basic strength. Then not many people are going to get to power, right? Nassim talks about that. Not many people in that is going to get to power.
Yeah.
ACE talks about that too, right?
Yeah.
They're both great organizations. But the thing is what if somebody can't even do the balance? How they have authored the exercise. You're out of luck, Mrs. Jones.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, totally.
You're gonna spend a whole hour having somebody learn how to balance on a ball? Like, dude, it's so cookie cutter approach. So it's easier because you're able to control people to some aspect, right? There's a legality there too, right? They said, well, if you follow our model, we'll back you, right?
Right, totally.
I don't know if the human body follows any type of model, follows anything, right? And Greg Mack from the Muscle System Specialist course talked about, said, we're working as trainers or exercise professionals, we are working with sorry about that. The video stopped. I had to hit record again. That is my fault. Again, this is episode number 6. I'm still practicing. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. So essentially, what was Matt talking about?
He was he was talking about oh, now the practice perfect.
Yeah, Matt said that. Yeah, practice perfect. Right? So, when it comes to working with the human body, it's a practice, it's not a perfect, right? And if people are being honest, if we can learn how to collect data on people, that's why I collect blood on people, to get an idea of the systemic environment within your body. Are they stressed? Are they not stressed? Are there is there triglyceride levels too high? Is their cholesterol too high? Are we seeing evidence of essentially, well, there's stress in the system, there's fatty deposits in the liver? We're just trying to do that from an exercise standpoint, right? We're trying to look at somebody and how they move, because if we have somebody move inappropriately, it's going to potentially break their body down and stress them out, right? Totally. That's why, if I was to go back to this, Arthur talked about control. This is really cool, talking about control. I was like, wow, that's unbelievable. Control, because if we let somebody take weights and just kind of like take the bench press and it falls down, the joints are going to get more stressed, right? So we can teach somebody how to use their muscles to do that, and that's what they're built to do. It will not stress out the joints, and you won't have this end range of motion, so forth stress, or passive range of motion stress into your system, which can help the workout itself be way more beneficial.
Totally.
So yeah, man, I thought that was good. Is there anything else you want to add in?
No, I think that's, I guess just, yeah, no. I'm loving you briefly brought up the Muscle System Specialist course. That's awesome. I love all that. That's cool. I think that's just been super fun. Because, with Matt, we were taught this awesome tool, but with this awesome, I think the cooler thing that we learned from Matt was this creative thinking, kind of like here's the tool, here's kind of obviously all the mechanical things, and think about mechanics, be the mechanic, and be creative with how you're gonna approach being a mechanic, I guess is.
Yeah, man.
And so I love that this course is kind of, you know, I feel like I was starting to steer a little bit away from that for reasons, you know.
Yeah, I feel you.
And now it's kind of like this course is kind of, dude, like options are endless, man.
Right.
And that's so cool. Like it gives, because that's why I really love doing this stuff, is because it is like, you know, a creative thought process with the main objective to help somebody. And so it's just so much more fun when you can freely kind of, you know, it just takes pressure off, but it's also like I'm helping people with this fun, free thinking kind of approach.
Have to, man.
So,
you know, collect the data on somebody, break it down, walk them through a plan, start on that process, right? And cool things will happen. So like you just talked about the muscle system specialist course, the next weekend we're having here at the gym for weekend 3 is going to be a fun one. But if you're interested in that, go check it out. So go to exerciseproed.com. But I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
To Arthur coming on, chopping it up. He'll probably be back on again soon. Excited to have him here from Kansas. I mean, it's a big move to come out, and Arthur's going to kill it, right? So thanks, bro. Thanks for being on.
Happy
guys.
to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, bro, no doubt.
Yeah.
So guys, if you are on Instagram, check out Clay's Cortex. Arthur is also on there under Warriors_Den_fitness, right?
Yep.
Yep. Warriors_Den_fitness. He'll have a kiln Instagram here soon. Check him out. Today. He'll get one today. So check him out. But if you're also on Instagram, go check out Clay's Cortex. Give me some feedback, what you guys think. Also on YouTube, you can watch this if you want to watch it. And this week, which is really cool, this week essentially, found out that the Clay's Cortex podcast got approved on iTunes, so it's on there. It's easier access for you guys, and it's also on Podbean. But I want to say thanks to you guys for listening, and this is Curtis and Arthur signing out.